Hello, I'm just curious. Are you interested in living a grounded, more fulfilling lifestyle? How about improving the relationships with your significant other, family members, and friends? Perhaps it's all about pushing age-old boundaries to the curb and starting a new page in your life. What about healing emotional wounds? We all have those that have been holding us back from peace and joy. Discovering perhaps for the very first time the real you, beautiful, inspirational, loving, spiritual, positive, and worthy. Is that all about you? Or do we need something new to help us live the lifestyle we deserve? No matter what your dreams and aspirations, I want to welcome you to this edition of Living the Lifestyle You Deserve, dedicated to personal wellness and the human condition. My name is Robert Keller, and I'm your host for the next half hour. Welcome to the show. You could have been anywhere else. I'm honored that you joined us. I have a real treat for you today. My very special guest today is a very accomplished professional practitioner in the wellness field. I am proud to introduce Erika Caspersen, a wellness and life purpose facilitator, coach, and founder of Inspiring Healthcare from the Inside Out. She offers programs for healing, wellness, and resiliency, spiritual self-control, direction, and life purpose. Her experience and credentials reads like the who's who in her field. She's very humble, but I don't have to be, because I recognize perfection. So here's all about Erika, and it's good she's not on camera. She'd probably be kicking me now, because I'm sure she doesn't want me telling everybody about what she does. But listen to this list, folks. Certified exercise physiologist, registered kinesiologist, I think I got that right, certified health and safety consultant, a postgraduate diploma, clinical behavioral sciences from McMaster University, coaching diploma, transformational arts coach, I'm just reading this right off, and it goes on. Certified higher ground leadership pathfinder, professional trainer in mind-body medicine, credentialed meditation facilitator. She got so much stuff in here, I can talk about it. Facilitator, Canadian Society of Safety Engineering, applied risk communication, and all of that with 25 years experience. Now, folks, that's what I call earning the right. So that's one of the reasons why she's here, and much more. Like the other honorable members of the Living the Lifestyle You Deserve professional team, Erika is eager to share her experiences and expertise with you so that you can begin to learn how you, too, can live the lifestyle you deserve. And you know something? Are you worthy? Yes, you are worthy. Today, Erika will present her 3 clues. 3 clues. You're living your life on purpose. Erika, welcome to the show. Glad you're here.
Thank you. What a warm welcome. Almost overwhelming to hear such
I'm excited you're here. Now, listen, before we move into those clues, I want to set the table. Now, you know, I've always been very passionate. We've known each other for a while, but the passion that we have is about people. It's about relationships, about the things that are happening out there. So here's the thing. A big reason why I invited you to the show is no surprise. Many people today are facing plenty of negative outside influences. It directly affects them emotionally, financially, with relationships, poor food and diet choices, physical and health issues, spirituality, and security is anything today. It's hard to find. You can't find that. Security is a thing of the past. Worse than this, life seems to be an endless cycle of decisions revolving around emotion and fear. And when people talk to me, and they do a lot, I'm out there. I spend a lot of time with people. When they talk to me, it seems to be so common a condition in terms of what this is all about. So, here's my question to get this ball rolling. How do we know that we're living our life on purpose? Where does it start, and will we ever recognize it when it comes to pass? This is a biggie. This is the biggie of the whole show. Now, let's hear from the expert. Erika, tell us about this, please.
Well, thank you for such a warm and delightful introduction. And you know, it's interesting when we talk about purpose, and I find that more and more people that I speak with, and more people in workplaces, are craving for that greater sense of purpose, a greater sense of passion, how to align that up. So what they do at the end of the day, they know that they've done something that makes an impact. And so often we talk about life purpose, people are referring to the idea that I'm contributing in a way that is making impact. I know that I'm making a difference. But before all of that, I like to think of life purpose as having 4 components. And the first of that's healing. And I loved in your introduction, you're talking about the emotional struggles a lot of folks are having, and the health issues that a lot of people are having. And so when we think about life purpose, I always think of it in 4 areas. First is healing.
Can I stop you for 1 second?
Yes.
Folks, get a paper and a pencil, write these 4 down.
Yes.
These are pearls of gold. Sorry. Keep
Yeah,
going.
no, absolutely. And the first, or the 4 categories, and we'll talk a little bit about each of those. The first is healing, and we'll talk about the healing journey that is part of the life purpose. And then the second is about learning and how we see all the experiences that we have as a way to learn, to grow, and to become wiser as we go through life. Then the third is about service. And this is often when folks say, you know, what is my purpose? You know, we're talking about that service component, that way that we give, that ignites our passion in ourselves and others and somehow makes our family, our community, our workplace a better place. So that sense of purpose.
When you talk about giving, we've talked about the aspect of giving where you rescue people or they actually do things on their own.
Yeah.
I mean, are people good receivers? I mean, we can give all we want, I think.
That's right, yeah.
But do people receive as well as they should?
You know, if I were to say whether folks tend to give more easily or receive more easily, for most folks, they tend to have a trouble with receiving. There seems to be a little block in being able to sit back and receive sometimes. And this is the problem when we talk about the caregivers and health care and all those that give to others, that we often give so much that there's an imbalance there. So yeah, most folks sort of struggle with that whole aspect of receiving. And that in part of their healing journey, which is part of life purpose, when we learn to do that, then more is, we fill up with more to give to others too.
And little do they know, and I know this from my personal experience, I may have shared that with you, I'm a lousy receiver, and I started learning all of a sudden that if I didn't receive, I was insulting them.
Yeah.
Because they're not happy if I don't receive love or care, and they're giving it to me unconditionally.
That's
and
right.
if I reject and say, well, no, I don't need that. That's not important. It doesn't work.
That's right.
This is part of what you're saying.
That's right. It's the balance. Everything's about balance, right? The more that we're able to receive, the more that we can give. And that's, you know, why a lot of people end up feeling burned out or for being depleted, because there's so much energy that is going externally to others, but not enough to come back and give them the self-care that they need. And that's all part of our healing journey, and our purpose is the self-care. So that when we infuse ourselves with that, we inspire ourselves, that energy naturally can be channeled outward.
Nice. I'm beginning to see what you're saying.
So the healing journey, the learning part of it, our life purpose and service, and ultimately all that adds up to joy. And you read any of the wisdom traditions, they always talk about that sense of joy, and the joy with the big capital J. And I really believe that ultimately that we are about being able to experience that sense of joy in our life. But sometimes it gets blocked. And I think you sort of alluded to that in your introduction, right?
Yes,
Sometimes it gets blocked. And so that first piece about healing, about becoming whole, is looking at that opportunities within our emotional selves in terms of trapped emotions and unresolved issues, because nobody gets through life without some little scars along the way, and sometimes big scars. Our dysfunctional thought systems that we learn, right? That gets in the way of seeing the world and all the opportunities. Maybe we see the world from a purely problem perspective versus an opportunity perspective. So healing our thought system is part of the healing journey. And then the physical body too. And the physical body has a lot of ailments, which often can be rooted in our emotional blockages and our thinking systems, and that's part of the healing journey. So there's all these wonderful modalities that can heal us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well.
Now, all of this is exciting. It's transformational, I guess we can say.
Absolutely.
How difficult is this? You know, we're talking. Let's just say that. I mean, I'm talking right at you out there. I see you, and I know how you're feeling, because I can feel that energy.
Yeah.
Boy, how can you feel energy through the camera? But I know you're there. And here's the thing: you're looking for some way to heal, some way to move yourself across that line.
Yeah.
So the next logical question that you should be asking, Erika, is how difficult is this? Is this a complicated thing to do? Does it take a lot of time to do? Or, you know, I know someone can work with a practitioner like you, but how is that going to work? If somebody's sitting on the edge right now saying, well, yeah, I've heard that before, but it didn't seem to work, and I tried other things.
Well, you know, I always think of the heart of it as self-care. So self-care is the heart of healthcare, and that's sometimes a switch for a lot of folks, because often we're seeking externally in our healthcare system to fix us. So we begin with self-care, and we take a look at those things that we need to really help to infuse ourselves with energy. And so there's things that we can do physically, so, you know, exercising a little bit, going for a walk, you know, those simple things each day. There's things we can do for our spiritual selves or our inspiration. And I say one simple thing is a daily dose of inspiration.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah, you know, rather than, you know, sometimes we take a daily dose of lots of things, include a daily dose of inspiration.
Can you buy that in a can? Can you buy that in a package?
Well, I guess it depends what's on the package.
Dr. Seuss here for a minute.
Or on the on the can,
Okay.
yeah. But you know, there's inspiration everywhere. A very simple practice that I recommend is when you go for a walk in the morning, because now you're also getting a little bit of exercise. Notice something of beauty. Maybe pick two or three things that are beautiful on your walk, and just pause in that moment. Because in the moment when the mind, you know, is doing its routine and rushing around and busyness, you know, when we pause and we look at something in nature, nature's always in the present moment, and it gives us just that moment of stillness to appreciate that there's beauty, there's magic, there's creativity in nature everywhere, and just notice and pause for a moment. That's a daily dose of inspiration that you can do naturally.
That's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy to do. You just make it part of your habit, just to pause,
Cool.
to take a breath, notice some nature. Emotional self-care is another example of a simple thing. It's just to pause from time to time. When you feel overwhelmed with something that's coming up, take a breath. Take a nice deep breath and pause, and just name what's coming up for you. I feel angry, I feel frustrated. All right, I'm okay with that. I'm just going to take a breath.
Yeah.
So sometimes
a cleansing breath.
A cleansing breath. It's just simple little self-care things that we seed throughout the day that gives us a little space.
And it removes stress too, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I remember with prenatal care and going through the whole birthing process and everything. I wasn't part of that because obviously I didn't do that. But the thing that was interesting is to ease the pain.
Yeah.
All the mothers to be were said, take a deep cleansing breath.
Yeah, it's so simple.
And it goes back to even something as simple as that, which is very cool.
It is, and you know, that breath, that very quick breath. In our household, every time a hummingbird shows up, both my husband and I, we pause because it's so cool.
Yes.
It's so cool to notice these things in nature that are so amazing. We have all these gifts.
Wow.
And so it's like a moment to pause, like there's the hummingbird, it's there, you know. Those little things that just allow us to tap into some of the beauty and all of that, you know, the magic that's around us every day.
This is really excellent. And you know, folks, I've got my special guest here, Erika Caspersen, Living the Lifestyle You Deserve, and she's talking with us today about the 3 clues you're living your lifestyle on purpose. And so far, I've learned an awful lot about these things. It feels emotional. It feels there's energy here.
Yeah,
a lot of energy.
Absolutely.
Okay? So when we go to break, and we're going to be back in a few minutes. So folks, come on back. Over and out. See you in the second half hour. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the second part. Excuse me, I'm choking up here. I've learned so much from Erika that I'm getting all choked. So my special guest is Erika Caspersen. She's a wellness and life purpose facilitator and coach. And her topic today is all about the 3 clues. And there's 3 special clues about living. How do you know you're living your lifestyle on purpose? So without further ado, Erika, please take us through this thing. Folks, get yourself a paper and pencil. Write this stuff down. This is important. That's why you're watching the show right now. Erika, come on back in.
All right, great. Thank you. And so the first thing that I've noticed, both in myself and others, when it comes to that aspect of life purpose as to what are my gifts, what are my talents, how can I serve in a bigger way, is a real sense of restlessness. This is the part where folks often feel really uncomfortable for some reason, because even if things are going really well in their careers or their jobs or their lives, there can be that sense of, you know what, something's missing. Yeah. Something's not quite, all the pieces in the puzzle aren't quite there. And I really think that's a really important stage, because it's really giving you the nudge that, yeah, you know what, if you're feeling like something's missing or there's something else, that's because there is. And whether this comes to you when you're younger or close to retirement, that sense of something else wanting to shine through you can come through at any part of your life, but it's always preceded by that sense of real restlessness and sometimes discomfort and sometimes pain. So that real sense of, you know what, I feel a little bit off. Yeah. A little bit imbalanced.
I find that interesting, because I write down restlessness. That's number 1. I wanted to just, as you were talking about unease.
That's right.
And I mean, we've been taught things that cause us a lot of pain and agony, such as dis-ease.
That's right.
Okay, so this is just another one of those eases, and this is unease.
Yeah, it's unease, meaning we feel like, and I love we think of disease, because disease is almost the energy's not flowing through us quite the way that it needs to. Yeah. And sometimes we find when there is a real purpose to come through and we ignore it, that we can sometimes see those ailments actually show up in the body, because it's so profound for us to show through in some way, that ignoring it can actually impact our health, which is really interesting in some cases. So that real discomfort. But that's really good news, because it really is saying that there is something that wants to unfold through you in a really wonderful way. And so that's the time to begin to explore. Not necessarily starting to create action plans and all that kind of stuff yet, but to explore. Do vision boards or meet with mentors, or for me, I surfed the internet one time when I felt that disease. I knew there was, I was in rehabilitation at the time, working with amazing clients, but I knew there was another chapter that was unfolding and I couldn't see it yet. And I had surfed on the internet, and I saw this beautiful site on the Workers' Health and Safety site of Dreamers Rock, a beautiful place on Manitoulin Island. And it had a saying at the bottom that we were all connected and we were all one. And I got really emotional. Yeah. Which was, hard for me, because I don't typically get emotional when people can see me. But in that moment, I actually had tears. And that's like the second clue, is when you connect with that in some way, shape, or form, there's often an emotional reaction that comes. It can be a sense of inspiration, a sense of relief, a sense of, you don't even know what it is. But it's often accompanied by an emotional reaction. And I knew in the moment that the next chapter related to workplace health and safety and well-being. In organizations, to get into organizations, to prevent the kinds of injuries that I saw happening, that I was helping to facilitate healing from happening in the first place. But that doesn't come from thinking about what your purpose is. It comes from being a bit more playful and a bit more exploratory and being open to see what emerges. And so that's the second clue. You get an emotional reaction to it.
So emotional reaction. So the first one is restlessness.
Yes.
And the second one is?
An emotional reaction.
An emotional reaction.
Absolutely, yeah.
So those are both very good.
Really powerful clues.
And these are clues, I'll remind you, specifically they're clues that we are actually living our life, a lifestyle on purpose.
Absolutely.
So in other words, by identifying those things is what you're saying.
Absolutely, by noticing what's coming up in you.
So it's a point of transformation with the first 2 clues that moves you across the line so you can enjoy your life.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And now the third is flow.
Flow.
things start to flow. Now, that doesn't mean that fears don't come up, and I'll guarantee you fears will come up.
Well, some of the macho
Absolutely.
guys out there, they're going to say,
Absolutely.
I never have any fear. No.
Absolutely, because
Everybody has fear?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
And then that's
Okay.
part of a thing when we talked about the learning journey that we have and the healing journey. Part of it when we're connecting with that sense of the way we can contribute in a bigger way. That also means sort of overcoming some of those fears that naturally come up, because you will be challenged. That's sort of part of the way that we learn and grow. I sort of think of sort of our spiritual journey like working out, right? You're
Right.
lifting up the barbell, we get kind of pulled down into fear,
Okay.
and then we do our practices or we take some action, and that gets us back up again. And then we get pulled back down into fear, and then we have some courage and we take some steps, and we strengthen our courage muscle and our spiritual muscle too when we do that.
Would you say that, this would be a strange question, but it might be going through somebody's mind. People live a life of being fearful all the time. They can
Yeah.
live their whole life like that.
Yeah.
Is it also a form of power? Strangely to ask that question, but
Yeah, I think so.
okay. When people are fearful, aren't they always much more aware somehow of the world around them? Because if they weren't fearful, they'd be taking it for granted. Because it's almost, I've heard a psychiatrist say to me not long ago, not that I was attending it for my purposes, but even if I was, fear is an innate power that contains the mind and keeps us sharp because we're aware of what comes next.
Yeah.
Our environment's the thing that usually is what it is. And the funny thing is, the truth is that 95% of all those things we fear never come to place anyway.
That's right.
They never take place.
That's
okay?
right. False expectations appearing real.
I wish I'd said that.
Yeah.
It's exactly right, though. Very good.
Well, you bring up a really good point, because fear can be a very good way to keep us safe when we need to keep safe. I mean, biologically in the early days, it warned us of our dangers, our fight or flight. But I think in the world today is we've become so hardwired into fear that it's no longer it no longer serves in the functional way that it would. If we need to prevent us from stepping out into traffic or sensing that there's some danger, that's a really good part, right? But when it's always sort of in the back of our minds all the time, it keeps our stress system activated, and that contributes to a lot of illness and chronic disease. And 80% of chronic diseases are stress related, and fear is
Yes.
at the heart of that.
Well, you because of what you do and do well, you see an awful lot of stress more than anything else. And stress does kill for sure. And everybody talks about that.
Yeah.
The thing is, okay, so all of these, I mean, those are the three clues. And,
That's right.
and I'm sure you probably have hundreds of clues.
That's right.
But those are probably what you say are the three main clues. So how does somebody start down this road with these three clues? How do they sort of open themselves up like a tin
Yes.
can, pop out and say, I'm ready, show me how, what do I do? What happens next? Okay?
Well, the first stage is always curiosity. And you'll know, because when you're ready to explore that, even if you're asking the question, that means you're ready to explore it, or you wouldn't be asking the question.
Yes.
So the fact that one is curious about purpose, meaning that there is a purpose that wants to shine through them. And so the first step is always curiosity, right? Before we get into the hands and feet and doing things, as I call it, we want to open up the heart and explore what gives you joy. Be really curious, get out and meet with mentors or surf the internet or just explore and notice what comes up in you emotionally, right? What's being pulled at your heart? Because a life purpose is always that alignment of what you're passionate about,
Yes.
what calls to your heart.
Right.
That's the passion.
Okay.
A skill that you have or you can develop, and a need in the world. When you line those things up, then wow, the passion will naturally move you forward. But the first step is just to be curious and explore, because it isn't always something that can be rushed. There is a piece, I think, about the timing too. And then once it starts to become clear, and certainly sometimes speaking with a coach can be helpful, sometimes doing vision boards can be helpful. Once it starts to get clearer, you can start to put some actions, then the next step is just to take some action, small steps forward.
Yes.
And there's that saying, and I'm sure you've experienced it, that when we take those small steps forward, it's like magic happens. It's almost like the saying that the universe conspires to make us successful by putting
That's true.
more of those opportunities, more of those flows. But we have to take those steps. We have to get the flow moving by taking some of those small steps forward and just noticing what happens when we do.
Yeah, I like the way you think. I do. And one of the things that I'm gonna ask a question that I have clients of mine where I I work with them as well. And one of the most outstanding things they ever asked me was, we've got all the techniques, we've got all the theories, we've got all the books and DVDs and CDs, and rush to the back of the room and join another workshop or whatever the heck it is. At the end of the day, there was one factor of all things that started them on their way.
That's right.
To a path of living the lifestyle they deserve. They had to at least find someone who would listen to them.
Yeah.
Just listen. And people are saying, people are out there and they know I can hear the sounds now. They're saying, yeah, that's it. Tell her, ask her about that. Just listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
Don't prejudge me. Don't have expectations of me, but listen from your heart, and you can be educated on all these qualifications. Great stuff. Love it. But do you find that with people? That if you don't listen, you miss what they said?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny. It sounds strange. It sounds so simple, isn't it?
Well, and to be able to have somebody that can be totally present with you and hear that, it's very powerful for both parties. And I think when it comes to something like your purpose and how personal that feels, to be able to have someone there that can witness that for each other, and to be able to, it takes courage sometimes to speak it, especially if it's something that's very different from one's current path, right? And they might not feel supported by their immediate family or their immediate social structure. So it's good to have someone that you can go to, or a group or a coach, where you can just be yourself, be authentic, name it and claim it, and be supported and not be judged for this new direction that you might be wanting to explore.
That's fantastic. So people are going to gain joy and peace and comfort in these 3 clues. And there's a lot of different workshops and programs that are available out there for people to look to. And if they're looking for someone to help them, do they need a coach really? Do they need someone to train them with all of this? Because again, one of the most critical issues that I think that I hear them telling me all the time is that they can go buy books. I was talking to someone in the physical fitness industry just before we came to Ware, and I mentioned to him, I said, one of the questions I want to ask him, who's going to be one of my future guests, I said, look, people in January all rush out there and join fitness clubs. And around about the middle of February, they all leave. So these businesses let go all of their staff.
That's right.
So the thing is, what can we say? What can you say that will allow what you presented and those 3 clues to be, I guess in the industry we say, that will be sticky, something that will stick to them, something that will actually work, okay? As opposed to rhetoric. And I'm not suggesting for a second that you don't have wonderful stuff. We're just about to wind down on this thing, but I thought I'd give you a chance to just say one last thing about maybe that.
Well, I think finding a thought partner can be really, really helpful. Now, it can be a professional coach, but I don't want folks to think that if they don't invest in a professional coach, they can't move forward. Coaches can be tremendously helpful. I know they've been helpful in my life. But even finding a thought partner that where you can ignite each other, where you can share your dreams with each other, look for the best in each other, can be really helpful to support each other moving forward.
Well, look, Erika, that's been remarkable. I've been working with Erika Caspersen. To learn more about Erika, go to the website, livingthelifestyleyoudeserve.com. Thanks for being here. See you next issue, Living the Lifestyle You Deserve. Robert, I'm your host. Thanks very much.